Zinx is a really interesting hero that I've wanted her to work for so long, and I think she finally does. With the recent buff here in 44.3, I think I have one deck at least. There's another one I'm trying that's pretty badass. Marillus Action is a game and screen recorder that offers the lowest megabytes per frame, the lowest computer resource usage, and the highest FPS recording. Check the link in the video description to learn more. Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a Zinx Hero Deck and Guide. I am Sylphin. So, quick overview of the deck. This is a mid lane or solo lane deck. So, if you want Sustain, Advanced Evolution, and Rejuvenator is there for you. If you want that hero experience, which gets her to her level 5, her ult, which is super duper important, you can go for Font of Experience. If you need crazy Sustain, Possessed Spriken is here for you, but if you can hold off, go into Arcane Dancer first. Power, health, and ability damage mitigation is huge for tank, plus you get damage reduction gem, not mana reactor, which actually does at level 3 ultimate completely mitigates the mana cost for that healing that her ultimate gives you. Crazy fact. Damage reduction is just too good. 10% basic damage reduction is really good tank, and we don't need that mana reactor because we're getting deadly mana and mana fountain. Healing towers, just so you can have good sustain. The first 5 levels of Zinx is really tough. Healing towers will work really well with that. Onslaught is intellect because her stun is super important, and with the agility that we'll get with OPD Militia, that synergizes very well. Plus her obviously her stun and her bad medicine are actually pretty good now. So this cooldown is surprising and it is effective. After you get Arcane Dancer, then you can get into some damage, which she will need because her damage comes from sustain, and then that will fall off into just needing the damage. Invader Mage, really good. All 3 of her big abilities deal good damage, so Invader Mage synergizes very well. After Invader Mage, you get Agility for Cryo Agent, swap Invader Mage for Cryo Agent, and then eventually into OPD Militia. Power, attack speed, maximum mana, exactly what Zinx needs. Maybe not the attack speed, but that works well with the Onslaught gem and applying OPD Militia. With the deadly mana and mana fountain, you actually can just keep OPD Militia on the entire time, and the more intellect you get, the more you can. And with the ability damage reduction from Arcane Dancer and damage reduction, you're very tanky while dealing tons of damage. After OPD Militia, go down intellect and knowledge for Awaken the Emmerich, Corrosive Walker, or Plague Lord. Those are the 3 options. Awaken the Emmerich, situational, if maybe you have an inhibitor down. Corrosive Walker is the staple of this. Reduce ability damage by 30, so that your stun, bad medicine, and kitty claws just wreck face, plus obviously the damage from OPD Militia. Or Plague Lord, if you just need that blight and reduced movement speed of nearby enemies. Weathering Shadow, optional card here for some AoE clear. So, here in this game, I am playing in the mid lane against another notch, actually, on the Fae. I knew that she was going to deal... I knew that he was going to be able to poke me down, but I kind of banked on just getting my ultimate and playing safe. So I did play risky, and I went for Font of Experience. The very first ability I suggest you get is her Ricochet Stun. What happens is you prepare a little energy disc that you then throw out, and it's really hard to land. The travel time is really slow, and the projectile is really small, so you have to get used to landing the ability. It's kind of odd. You're just going to need time. What happens is the first enemy hits is stunned for 1.2 seconds, and then it ricochets around a limited amount of time that increases with every time you upgrade the ability. So the more you upgrade it, the more times it ricochets. Every time it ricochets, it stuns that target for longer, increasing in 0.2 second increments. So 1.4 seconds, 1.6, 1.8, 2, etc. So obviously, in a team fight, it's tremendous. It's tremendous that it can bounce around all 5 enemies and really stun them for quite a bit. Plus, it does actually substantial damage. At level 4, I think it does like 220 damage. So with the power on Zinx and whatnot, it actually can work really well. There you saw me use the Ricochet Stun first on the minion, so that the second person so when it actually hit the Fae there, it was a 1.4 second stun. So that is a very important ability you have to use at the right time. You have to get used to using it. You have to get used to using it. It's very strange, but eventually when you get used to it, it will be just fine. The second ability I got was Kitty Claws, and that is a toggle ability. When you toggle it on, you drain mana from yourself, but every basic attack deals a dot on the enemy. So you have to land this ability or else it's just an incredible mana drain, but it deals tremendous damage over time, and it does stack. So the more times you hit a target, the dot increases in damage. So each time you hit, that damage is being added on. So you have to land your basics, which is really cool because Zinx, she's kind of like a tanky ranged brawler. She's a really interesting hero. She's a ranged tanky fighter. And really interesting. So you need you need to be able to hit your basic attacks really well, which is a really good skill to develop. You also need to position well. She has no escape, and you have a hard skill shot to land with that dang ricochet stun. So really interesting hero. The third ability that I would suggest unlocking is Bad Medicine. You charge this ability up, and then you unleash it in a long rectangle in front of you that deals damage over time and slows enemies that touch it by a pretty large amount. So use this ability as much as you can, but smartly in good positions to slow enemies so that you can obviously deal more damage or peel for your allies. Another thing is, this is basically your wave clear ability. Use Bad Medicine and actually a ricochet stun because it deals damage on each time it hits. Use those in combination, actually really good wave clear. And the last ability that you get is her ultimate at level 5. That is her Dirty Healing. It's a toggle ultimate ability. And what the toggle is the damage mitigation portion. For every point of damage, Zinx will mitigate 30% of that. So if you take 100 damage, you will heal for 30, which can be affected by Blight, and you will net 70. However, if you only have 100 health and you take 100 damage, it doesn't work. You just die. So you need health to absorb the damage first, and then you will heal. When you upgrade her ultimate, it also increases the efficiency that you pay for that healing. So instead of 1 point of damage equals 1 mana, instead, if you heal for 30 health, well then at level 3 you only actually pay 15 mana. So there's that ratio between how much you heal and the mana that you spend gets reduced, and it actually becomes quite efficient. It also, the passive part of Dirty Healing is that she regenerates mana based on a percentage of her maximum mana, meaning that the more mana that she has, the more mana regen she will get for more missing mana. Does that make sense? So if you're missing 100 mana, then you will get more. You'll get more mana regeneration than if you were only missing 30. And part of me, it's not based on maximum mana, it's just based on missing mana. So the more mana you're missing, the more health regeneration you get, and the more that you upgrade the ability, the more the more mana you will get for the missing mana. So it's really important. Getting more mana on Zinx means more mana regen, and it's just absolutely insane at some point, which is why OPD Militia works with this deck, because you get intellect, which increases your maximum mana, which increases the mana regeneration that you get, meaning you can just keep OPD Militia on at some point. Now that we have our ultimate, we have tremendous sustain. Our mana regen is going nuts. We do have Possessed Sprykin. I really wanted to push this mid lane as much as I can, stay on the battlefield, and just kind of force this down. It does give up a slot, but it does give you power, health, and mana and health regen, which is really good and works really well with Zinx. You want to rotate whenever possible. I noticed that my crunch there in our off lane was getting harassed a lot, so I rotated over and tried to help. Zinx, She's really strange. Depending on if you can be a good threat, you can do a lot, but otherwise, not really. It really depends on how well you can initiate, how well you can draw the enemy's attention to you, because otherwise, people can just ignore you, and you're useless. So I rotate a little bit over, don't save the tier 1, but you can see that the damage over time is actually pretty darn good on Zinx. I missed the stun there, which would have made it easier to kill this Richter, but with this Possessed Spryken, you can see it's tremendous value here. So you can see the health regen's just taken away. My ultimate's giving me tons of mana, and I actually feel confident trying to take down Cosby here. You can see he actually starts to retreat as he realizes my Kitty Claws is actually doing a pretty good amount of damage. You just have to land the basics. It's hard. It's a unique skill for a ranged pseudo caster fighter to have. You just need to land those basics. One of the hard parts about Zinx is trying to be a threat enough so that the enemy actually focuses you and you can extract value from being a tank, but also just dealing that damage. I try to harass this backline so that my team can take out that Revenant. Very closely does that, and I'm like, oh dear, I need to re-engage, get their attention so that my team can do stuff. I go straight for this Richter, trying to be that nuisance. We do get him. Unfortunately, I die, and we just kind of overextend in general. So that's what I was trying to do. You're trying to Zinx. It's a game. How much can you just beeline for their backline or help peel for your allies and try to draw their attention, force them to hit you, and kind of be that pseudo tanky brawler. It takes time to, I guess, realize when to go in, when you can be great, and also when to use that stun. It's hard. One tip I have for you is be careful of your mana. A lot of the times when you want to use your stun, like right now, there's 3 people on me and I wanted to use my stun to help me get away, I couldn't. Because I had taken damage, I had used my Kitty Claws, I had no mana for my stun. Make sure that you have the mana for your stun, because it's really important. Otherwise, you'll be out of luck just like I was. In terms of upgrading your abilities, it's kind of up to you what you need. In the solo lane, maybe you want to upgrade your Kitty Claws to do more damage, to harass the enemy more. It's up to you. Do you want to upgrade your stun so that the stun deals more damage and ricochets more? It's kind of up to you. The bad medicine, probably the one I would least upgrade, but that is your wave clear. So if there's tremendous pressure in the wave department, they're constantly pushing your wave a ton, maybe you do need to upgrade that. I would suggest your Kitty Claws followed by your stun. Again, with Zinx, it's a tough time to know when to try to be the tank, when to just try to be a good peeler for your team. For this one, I kind of knew that my Decker and my Sparrow were in trouble, so I had to focus on the Seraph. And as you saw there, that ricochet stun really helped my Sparrow. So it's an interesting dynamic. You have to know when to just kind of be the center of attention in the enemy backline, causing the harass, or playing it safe. Because of your stun and your slow and your bad medicine, you can be both, and it's really important when to do that. I still don't have Cryo Agent or OPD Militia. I almost have it now, just because we've been on the battlefield with this insane amount of sustain through a Possessed Spryken and our ultimate, which is a really good thing about it. I would prefer Arcane Dancer, as that opens up more potential in the extreme late game, but in this scenario, I thought it would work. Now, it's a bit hard to see, but the OPD Militia, and we have Mana Flow Acolyte on, but that should have been an Invader Mage, does some work. The Serath here tries to dive my Decker. I'm like, nope. So look at the absolute burst. The Sparrow is there, but I remember at that moment, I knew I was the one dealing that insane damage. The Kitty Claws and the OPD Militia is insane. The nice group stun there, deleting Cosby there, going for Crazy Fool next. The Richter just ends up dying. It's incredible. The damage here on the Fae was nuts. I had OPD Militia on that entire time, and if you're not taking damage, especially with that damage reduction gem that you can see I just unlocked there, it provides good tank. If I had that Arcane Dancer instead of the Possessed Bryken, it could have even been better. It's just amazing. The damage reduction gen and the Arcane Dancer could have been even more tanky than we already were there. Plus the damage from OPD Militia is really significant. Plus obviously that Invader Mage. Here's another showcase of the damage potential and the nice synergistic team fight potential of Zinx. I synergized my Ricochet stun with the Crunch uppercut to keep them stun locked, and as you can see, that damage, yeah, Stark here is doing a tremendous amount of damage on Crunch, but so are we. That attack speed makes us able to use the OPD Militia a ton, and as you can see with my mana bar, it may be bugged here. It basically doesn't change. Once you start going high into the intellect, you're getting Corrosive Walker or Awaken the Emmerich, stuff like that. It really starts to take off, and the damage potential with the tank is really powerful. And there you guys go. I like Zinx because she's very unique. She's very unique. She has a mana resource usage thing. She has a great stun to synergize well with basically everything. She's a really interesting hero that you need to kind of understand when to do what and what your role is. Are you trying to peel, or are you trying to be a tank, and how do you become a tank then? It's very, very interesting to use her, and I hope you guys like this deck. Patreon allows creators to offer their fans a way of supporting them and what they do. With flexible and painless payment options, anyone can support their creator for as little as $1 a month. If you would like to help me do what I love, check out the link in the video description to learn more. Please like this video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, share it with the community, of course. Guys, subscribe. If you guys like this content, especially if you found it useful, please subscribe so I can do it for you in the future. Please check the video description for links to my website, merchandise store, and Amazon affiliate link, as well as checking out all of my social media right here. Till next time, like always, guys, stay optimistic and positive.